Al Mishkavchem, Adrim Ruselo, and bring some comments of Rambam on this. He says as follows. The sages said a person should direct himself and his thoughts to words of Torah and widen his understanding through wisdom, because thoughts concerning sinful, lewd aspects become strong only in a heart which is empty of wisdom. And with regard to wisdom, it says in Shir HaShirim, in very strong terms, a gazelle of love is the Torah. The breast will give you refreshment constantly. B'avatatish k'tamid. You should constantly, as it were, be occupied with the love of the Torah. In other words, which is the learning of Torah from inner love. And following the words of the Rambam, it is a well-known fact that the love of Hashem only becomes tied up in the heart of a person if he constantly is involved with it. His imagination is filled with it, and he leaves aside all other matters. It says you've got to love Hashem b'chol lebavcha, with your total inner self. And a person can only love HaKadosh Baruch Hu according to the knowledge that he has of him. And the knowledge comes through the Torah. And whether it's a little or it's a great deal, a person must concentrate to try to understand and to widen his intelligence with the wisdom of the Torah, which his Creator has given him, kavikoach, according to the maximum ability which he has to understand. This is one statement the Rambam made in his Yala Chazakah. Now another statement, which he brings at the end of tractates which deals with mikvahot, which mikvah. So he says like this, that in fact it's the end of the book of Torah, not just the end of mikvahot. There's a whole one of the 14 books which deal with purity. He says, when a person thinks of gatherings of waters and streams, and a person who comes to pure himself by immersing in them, it's an aspect of becoming immersed and entirely surrounded by words of Torah. It's this that brings up a person from the impurity of materialistic and low animalistic thoughts to the purity of the soul and the fine inner spirit of the heart. And just when a person has the intention in here, when he immerses in a mikvah, then he becomes pure, although his body is just the same as before. So you can only go into a mikvah if you're entirely clean. So it's the same, it's come up the same as you were before. So also, what is the difference? You've got an intention to become pure. So anyone who prepares his inner self to purify his soul from the impurities that so frequently come to the inner soul of man, thoughts that come of iniquity and evil false opinions, when he's made a decision to separate from these, and he brings their soul into the waters of understanding, he's pure. That's why the Prophet says, I will sprinkle upon you pure waters, and you become purified from your impurities. So may Hashem in His mercy purify us from all sins. So these are the words of the Rambam. I'll add to them words of the Meiri on this piece of Gemara. When the Gemara says he should please himself with Torah, if he wants to remove the Yetzirah, or as we explained, to sublimate him, what does it mean, Yasod B'Torah? You should fulfill the mitzvot and all the religious laws, because their practice and understanding what lies behind them will guard a person from breaking out into those self-centered, materialistic cravings that his nature wants to fulfill. And if that doesn't help, what should he do? He should place himself into more hiporidot, to think by himself what's going on with me. And he should investigate inwardly the God's existence and His unity, to concentrate on it. Because to have in one's mind clearly the existence of God the Creator and His unity, and these are the fundamental principles of our faith. These are hinted at Kriyat Shema. And as a result, his nature will receive the joy of being close to the Creator. So he won't anymore have in his mind all sorts of physical luxuries. And if that doesn't help, then there's no other way. Then he has to subject his mind and think about his latter end. And by remembering that in the end, his spirit will remain and his body will disappear from his personality. Then his heart will become subject to Hashem. And this will have an effect on him, that he'll remember that he comes from the dust and will go back to the dust as far as his body is concerned. And this is what Akarim and Mahala means in the ethics of the fathers. You should think of three things, and then you won't come into the hands and the power of sinfulness. Know from where you come and where you're going to, and to whom you will have to give an account and reckoning. So these are the comments of the Rishonim, and from this, since I had to create the Zechut, this last time, since I've been here, I've discussed to be quite close to Rabbi Yashiv, who was a fantastically great scholar of our time, and I went to his shiur which he gave in his last years, which is shiur given as though he were a young man, 30, when he was in fact 100. So I want to tell you some of his comments.
On this Gemara and the stuff?
Yes.
Wow, where did he wrote it down in it?
Well,
or you learned it directly?
No, it was. If you want to know where, I mean, I heard quite a few shiurim of his, but not. He gave shiurim on all the Masechtas of Shas throughout his life. He gave regular shiur for 60 years or more, 70 years. So. I had a very good disciple who, great grandson of Rav Kook, Pension Kook, was a chavrusa with my son in yeshiva, and this Pension Kook was very, unfortunately, his father and mother were killed in a car accident, and his uncle reared him, and he became a very good student at yeshiva, Berachot. And then afterwards he was very attached to to Rabbi Yashiv and recorded all the shiurim, and also asked him many questions. So we give you a few comments here, which he just recently gave out quite a volume of all his comments on tractate Brochis.
Wow.
So he says like this, that the question is, we have here 3 levels, which he spoke about. Even 4 levels. First, you should just try directly to excite the Yitzhak Tov against the Yitzhara. If he's not successful, he needs to have, apart from direct, he wants to go further, he's got to learn Torah. If he's successful, very good. If not, he's got to read the Shema. So he asked the question, reading the Shema is also learning Torah. This question we discussed yesterday already. So what's the difference? What is added by saying read the Shema? So it's like Torah. So the so Rabbi Yashiv explained on the basis of a famous question that was put to Berachot Ch, which I put many people before him also. But anyway, questions like this. We all know that Berachot Ch is the founder of the Musa movement. Now, the Torah is filled with Musa. And you could say this, the Sefer Mishle, Sefer Kohelet of Shlomo HaMelech is entirely Musa. Pirkei Avos is entirely Musa. But the idea of learning Musa, which was strengthened in more recent times, 200 years ago, by the great Bali Musa, so Salant and others, the idea was, they would, obviously, you can discern where all Torah is Musa, so I'm indirect. But a lot of Torah, like what we're learning here on this page, is direct Musa. It's also learned Torah. But there's other Torah, if we're dealing, let's say, do the exact times of Kriyat Shema, or dealing with the laws of when an ox kills a cow, all these sort of things. Well, it's not Musa. It's learning Torah, but you're not learning. Musa means how to improve your character. So he says like this, learning Torah, also as we explained from the Rambam and others, you fill your mind at least with things which are wisdom, and the wisdom ultimately goes back to Hashem, the wisdom of Torah. That's Hashem's wisdom. So it's like this, the person came to Rabbi Shlomo and put the Quedas, as you know, and he said to him, listen, I've only got, I can only learn half an hour a day. I'm so busy to provide for my big family, and it's not easy. The family is growing, and if I don't work 10 hours a day, so I don't have enough to feed them. Like today in Israel, I mean, I just saw a headline, there's at least 1 million people, if some even 1 million children, in fact, under the poverty line. And I've got to provide for them. So I've got to work from morning to night. What can I do? So I've only got half an hour to learn. What should I learn? So Berachot Ch said to him, you should learn half an hour of Musa, and as a result you'll find another hour to learn halacha and to learn Gemara. Otherwise, Musa is the essence of Musa, which he tried to introduce, was to increase motivation. The person not motivated, he doesn't have any spirit in his learning, so he doesn't get rid of the Yetzirah, and the Yetzirah takes hold of him. So there you need the Musa in order to motivate you more strongly to fulfill the mitzvahs and to learn Torah. So that's one point. The second point, which the Bali Musa say, it's really hinted at already by the classics of the Rishonim, Refuat HaTorah mi'et hu segulit. Yesh segula b'Torah k'she'oseh ponitz mi'etzara. Somebody came to the Gerer Rebbe, the previous Gerer Rebbe, and asked him, you know what a segula is? You heard of segula is? Well, people try all sorts of things. You see even a lot of beginners, they start wearing a red band around their wrist. Why do they do it? Why? Segula. What Segula mean? You think it's a protection. It doesn't have a rational basis of any sort, but it is super rational. People think that you have a red band on, it stops the redness of the Yetzirah or something. You know. And the truth is that we know people have a mezuzah on the door. Mezuzah on the door is a mitzvah of the Torah. But many people, I've seen people, they take a mezuzah and let it hang in the car. Or they say, why do you do it? Or some people even hang something on their breast, you know.
On the bike.
Huh?
What about if somebody wears like a star?
It's an amulet. It's a segula. They don't even know what's written in the amulet. The Khmer. No.
It's a star.
People think, no, it's got a long sword. The people think, some people say, Shin Dalet Judas, Shomer Dalet Israel, the one who guards the doors of Israel. So the truth is, it's all the mitzvah, a bit of Shmirah. But people sometimes look at it as a segula. But somebody came to the Gereb and said, no, I need a segula. I need a segula for good panosa, and that I should learn better. And so he says, but what does it say before? You've got to learn my Torah, and thereby you become a segula. As he said, the biggest segula is to learn Torah. And the truth is, yes, we all know that the person who learns Torah is protected from the evil inclination. It's not just a rational psychological procedure like the Rambam describes. It's more than that. It's just like, it's similar purification in the mikveh itself. You become tahor, but it's a koyach segula. You can't say something natural, something supernatural. So it says fuas haTorah is a segula. A segula b'Torah when you teach yourself, you're safe from the Yetzirah. Just like we say, people who learn Torah, they're protected, also more protected from dangers, which not. Why? What's the difference of a person if he's reading newspaper or is learning Torah as far as being hit by a bomb? Rationally, Hashem is borrowed. We don't read. You can't explain it rationally. There's a supernatural power. But the segula, the truth is that segula, when does it work when you're learning Torah? If you really have the correct intentions when you're learning Torah. A person learns Torah, has no real intent, got a blank mind, just learns it because everybody else learns it. Or worse still, he learns it just academically, you know, like a university course that includes Judaism. So to get the degree, you don't believe in any of it, but you get knowledge. So that's not going to help you as a segula. If you don't have the correct intention, has no power. But limud musa is a natural, rational healing of the character. How does a person become better? Better if he's learning. Here we're learning brachas. Brachas is half brachas is musa. But if you, let's say, like we learned previous time, we learned all the laws of Beitza, all the laws of Muktzah. We learn all the laws of Nezikin. We learn what the law is when an ox damages a cow, or damages a property. You can't say it's going to improve your character directly. It's about seguli. But some people call it a magical power. It's human, but we say Torah is not. It's a magic and superstition not permitted by the Torah. Magic and superstition below the mind is underneath the mind. But Torah has a quality like that which is supernatural, above the mind, above nature. Learning Musa is a natural improvement of the character. That's it. Knowing Yagi's or Yetzirah is a natural position. You've got to become excited. And learning Torah, you've got to love it. So he says, but if you don't love it, let's say you don't love learning Torah, but it doesn't give, some people say, I'm learning Torah, but it doesn't give me I don't see how it improves me. I'm learning Elum and See Islam. And so, what happens if you find a lost object and so on? But, that doesn't turn me on. And in fact, I've had students like that. I had a student who was brilliant mind. He was a doctor already, and he said, when he started learning Gemara, he said, it's not for me. But what did I do? I got him to learn all the sections of Gemara that deal with medicine. And he became expert in ethics of medicine, so he got into Gemara, because then he felt, oh, this is meaningful, very important for me. And if a person wants to know how to improve character, so go and learn the Haggadah. Learn the Haggadah like this page can really improve your character, improve your motivation. It's tivit, it's natural, it's not something supernatural. Let's say there was a big university professor who came to the yeshiva of Kelm. Now they didn't call it yeshiva. The main town this also answer was Simcha Zislam of Kelm, Simcha Zislam Brady. So he founded called the Talmud Torah of Kelm. It was not like an ordinary yeshiva. It was a yeshiva to train people to perfect their character and produce the biggest Musas giants of latest generations, Rabbi Lokia. And I had the privilege to sit on their feet. Rav Dessler, he learned them, I think, for 20 years. And they were so particular with behavior between man and man, above anything else. They improved themselves because they constantly, of course, they learned others. That's incredible as well. Became giants in everything, but in character improvement, which was so important, because there were some people who concentrated the learning, the biggest genius, some of them. They were very much turned on by the enormous high level of intellect which is challenged through learning Gemara. And they reached the highest level. And we discussed with some of them before. They reached the level when they could solve other, like I just talked to Professor Uman, who got the Nobel Prize. He's a big genius. And his main genius comes from learning Gemara. He admits it. He's one of the biggest geniuses in the intellectual world that deals with the mathematics and games theory and other related things. So that's what learning does. But you can be a big genius, but be a very bad husband and a very bad father. It can also happen. Be a big genius. So which is a big Shil Hashem. Because the whole Torah is intended to also improve character, improve love between human beings, and to create saints. So that Limud Musa is tivit. So he says, this is what they said at the beginning: a person should busy himself with the Torah, which has a supernatural power. But if he was not successful because he couldn't enjoy it, he couldn't do it with joy, and he couldn't do it with right intention, he should read the Shema, which is a natural healing process. Because reading the Shema, it doesn't mean here just to read the verse. It means to concentrate on, like the media explained, like before, concentrate on to know that, and if you can't know it, you don't have it in your feelings, then study it. The matter, you should study the existence of God and recognize it as the absolute power in the world. And when you say the Shema, you should think of it. The Rambam begins also his great Sefer by expounding upon the concept of the absolute. So a person who's got high intelligence has got a duty. It says it's the mitzvah of the Torah to have a munach. Hashem Lokeach, he says it's a mitzvah. What's the pshat of the mitzvah? You've got to work hard. There should be the highest level of truth. And there are different ways of coming to it. Mentioned by the Rambam already. A few different things, and to say as well. Today can come the person who's got doubts in faith. He should study the modern scientists who deal with the scientific proof of God's existence. There's plenty of scientific proof today. And if that doesn't satisfy him, he should work on it more. At the same time, get that into his emotions. That's Kabbalah on Nachal Shemaim, to accept Hashem is the master of everything, and we have to accept what He gives us. So Rav Yashiv in true tradition says, this is a refuah tivit. It's like learning Musa. Especially, he says, also the second part of Kriyat Shema, which is reward and punishment. Because reward and punishment brings you to recognize success in life, in every aspect, for the individual and for the nation, depends on the extent to which you talk with Hashem. So but no. From this, let's go to where we left off yesterday, which is this other statement. And I think some say the two statements brought here. First, Berachot Ch, which is in the neighbor Shlokas, and then also Rabbi Levi Bachom in the neighbor Shlokas, and then it brings Levi Bachom in the neighbor Shlokas, what Hashem said, what Moshe Rabbeinu was going to be given on the 40 days when he was on the mountain. Because the Luchot Edut were formed then, the tablets of stone, he was given when he came down from the mountain. But he wasn't for 40 nights. He was close to Hashem without food and drink. So his soul, although it was still in the body, but his soul was the dimension of the spiritual world, and he communicated with Hashem. And therefore, in fact, you can connect this, that what do you mean Moshe Rabbeinu was in heaven? It's like this, like people today say they've gone to heaven. Like one of the latest powerful books by this professor of brain neurology, Proof from Heaven. He describes how he went into heaven, his soul, and he couldn't deny it. He tried to deny it, but previously he was a secular scientist who thought all these things were illusion. When he had it himself, he went up to heaven. His soul went up to heaven, came back to earth. Moshe Rabbeinu did that without having anything wrong with his body and his brain. And he was able in that situation to get communication with Hashem. That's why he knew everything was going to happen, that we discussed yesterday. But this verse is brought before he went up to the mountain. I want you to go up to the mountain, he says to Moshe, I will give you there the tablets of stone which are the Aseret Sadibros, which were on a higher level than the rest of the Torah. We know that's why it said Eila Aseret Sadibros. But the idea of being engraved in stone is also maybe that they will remain forever for mankind as a great power, as they are today, the whole world. And if they would, we wish they would be fulfilled as the minimum. And it's very important to understand them, and Rav Tzaddik and others, they see hints at all the mitzvahs in their Seder Tadibros. But then he says, the Chumash and the Mishnah, Torah Sheba'al Peh, that was the Moshe Kibbutz Torah Misinai, which is the first phrase of Pirkei Avos, means the totality of Torah, all its aspects. So it said, Melamed Shekulam Nitnu LeMoshe Misinai. They were all given to Moshe from Sinai. Now maybe we can say that, apart from many say, why does this come here in the middle of a discussion of Kriyat Shema Lamita, Rikshaval Tekatam? But now we continue, the next one is Rabbi Yitzchak, and go to Kriyat Shema Lamita. What's this got to do with it? Can you give an answer?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
My question is like this. There's generally speaking a reason for one subject following the previous subject. How does one follow from the other? So sometimes they say, well, this is just another statement of a Reli Bachom in the Nibra Shlokas. It's got nothing to do with the previous, a deep statement of Risavat Torah.
So your question is, usually one subject follows another one, but in this case, you're going from one subject to another subject.
And as the next subject, it's back to the previous one before the previous.
And as we know from the first half of the Gemara, that it goes from it starts with the morning in the Mishnah, then it starts from the evening, that goes into the morning, and then it carries on into the morning because they're already on that topic.
Okay,
and that's
but
what
here it's different.
But here it's different.
Here the two, we're in the topic of reading the Shema at night, which has to do with the shade, with the Yetzer Hara that comes at night, and using the same verse to emphasize that this is what the Torah applies to Kriyat Shema Lamita, and it also at the same time gives us a program to overcome the evil inclination which becomes stronger at night. And then he brings this statement concerning the power and the width of the Torah, which is given to Moshe Rabbeinu. So I saw one of the commentators wants to answer this, that is a connection, because if a person recognizes that the Yasser Patorah, which part of the Torah, it doesn't matter, it said whichever part of the Torah you take, you'll be able, as a result, to recognize it, that the whole Torah, because it says Yasser Patorah, which Torah? It means, does it mean he's got to concentrate on learning the Musa piece of the Torah? Or what happens if he's just learning the detailed laws of Muktzah? So he knows what's Muktzah, what's not Muktzah. That's what he's learning. So does that also help? That's Yasser Patorah. So can it remove his Yetzer Hara? Or if he's learning the laws of damages, then, so the answer is yes, because all one unity. The whole Torah comes from one source. Therefore, the source of every part of the Torah is the wisdom of Hashem, and it's all interrelated, it's all one unity. Therefore, whichever Torah you learn will help to overcome the evil inclination. It doesn't mean. Therefore, let's add something else to this. The Gemara speaks about someone who learns and it doesn't motivate him. Yeah. So the Gemara says, a person will only learn something thoroughly if his heart desires it. We spoke about the previous year, you've got to enjoy in learning. And therefore, the truth is, a person should choose. But that's the way you get into things, like I spoke about this doctor, and like there's others. But like there are, for example, I've had here a few times an advanced yeshiva student. So I said, why does he come here? Because he wants to ask me, can you concentrate on learning the Tanakh, which he never learned properly in yeshiva? Or another student asked me, can you concentrate on learning Musa? I said, yes. I don't know, but we'll try and work out a program without the major subject in which you grow. But he missed the reason. He said, Gemara he can't stand anymore. Because he got too much pushed on his throat. He cut down. There are many different reasons. And you can get them. You've got to go to the point where you see that this is my self-fulfillment, what you learn. It's important. And therefore, Rabbi Shlomo is saying, and I imagine Rabbi Yochanan taught him that as well, because the Rabbi wrote his first Rebbe, as we described yesterday from his biography. So therefore, Kulam Nitim B'Sina. And that's very important today, when in the yeshiva world, maybe some of you, I'm not talking about most of you, but those who grew up in the yeshiva world from childhood, there's this problem. That most yeshivas have a stereotyped approach, and say put on Gemara, one say the Iyum, one say the Pekiyos, and that takes them into the whole day. And the Gemaras they choose are generally speaking not brachos, which is Log Musa.
They're not what?
The generally tractates that are used in the yeshivas, and even the koilim, are not a masechta like one that the students chose this, they want to learn this. And it means, why? Because, therefore, if a person enjoys it and grows through it, very good. Won't do him any harm, because the others, why do they do it? Because the average, you could say, intelligent student in the world of Torah observers, the truth is, they learned it when they were children, went through the Tanakh, and went through some basic Moses Forum, they went through Mishnahs, and they need something to challenge their minds. And there's more challenge to the intellectual mind in the more intricate sugyot. Like I know from my grandchildren, they learn Cheskos Abatim. That's a chapter in Tractate Bava Basra, which you gotta work hard to follow the sugyos there. There's some very difficult things to. I mean, I take it with time. You've got to be like a bit of a genius really to understand some of these sugyos. Yeah, like Professor Ullman, he's a genius in some of the most difficult sugyos in the Gemara. So you've got to be. What are the other things? They can learn it by themselves. They do. Most of them, they go by themselves, they learn it. You don't need someone to give you a sheer Tanakh. You take them across Gedreilas and go through it. Even they do it, it doesn't take much time. Pasha of the week, they know inside out, So they don't need to learn the Pasha of the week. But, So, let's go on to the next piece. You start this side, you start Simcha. Omar, with the line of the bend, Omar Yitzchak.
Omar Kol HaKorei Kriyat Shema Al Mitato Ke'ilu Ochez Cherev Shel Shtei Piyot Yado.
Enslaved?
Okay, so let's see. Rabbi says, Kol HaKorei. I'll read the Kriyat Shema on their bed. It's like they're holding a sword of two double-edged sword in their hand. That's what they're holding.
What's Rashi say?
Let's see. Let's see.
That's Ke'ilo Ches Cherev Shel Shtei Piyot Beyado. That's what we're looking at, right?
Yes. What's Rashi say?
Wait, here it says Ke'ilu Ochez. Okay. It says Lahareg et Ha-Mazikim, killing the demons.
Who are the demons?
That's the question.
Yetzirah.
It's any, Rav Gilbert, he says that it's any negative force. It could be some kind of spiritual force, or even if I have a mosquito in the room, I also see him as some kind of a demon. So,
well, they're different.
It's different. It could also be bacteria. He said it could be any kind of bacteria at a very small level, and it can attack you. So those are negative forces.
So try this. There's like we spoke before. There's we call it the supernatural or the non-natural force that we don't know about yet. In any case, many of us, and there's the natural. So the Meiri and other early commentators they referred to the natural mazikin. So what are the natural mazikin? Evil thoughts, evil fancies come upon a person when he's not fully conscious. That attack it. Even person who consciously is very dedicated to keep away stupid ideas in his mind and false ideas. But when he's half asleep, something when he's asleep, so he gets nightmares, and which have to do with very unpleasant influences and immoral influences. So those are the mazikin. But you're right. The average interpretation, which we find in Rashi also from different statements made by the sages, imply there's also reference to even maybe semi-physical or physical forces. With some, I gave a few months ago an analysis of Rav Dessler of Kam concerning the mazikin, that could be a level, it could also be a reference to what today one would call non-visible powers of energy. that exist in the environment. And there's today, in our time, a great deal of analysis, especially by Russian scientists, to deal with psychic forces that also have to do with the health of the person.
What do you mean?
Could be psychic forces.
What does that mean?
That there are energies surrounding us that have an influence on healthy development and unhealthy development.
You mean like radio waves?
Some say radio waves. There's, there are. Today you can register the energy that surrounds the human being. You can register it through ultraviolet rays at different levels, which demonstrates it. Then there's even a lot of investigation you made, like Chazal say, what's the evil eye? It's the power of jealousy. So they say if you've got plants and people don't like the plants, they wither. If people like the plants, they grow. But they made tests. They test people who love plants, they grow better than people who hate plants. They're the same environment. So I've seen her researching, and there's psychic forces. So that's the power of the mind over matter. So when you've got a positive force all day long in the room, it's fine. But when you go to sleep, and sometimes the negative forces are stronger. Then there's also,
why is that?
Many people say bacteria also, there are many aspects of mazikin which have a common factor with the discovery of microscopic bacteria that you can't see, but that exist. There's certainly, that everybody knows that there's poison, plenty of poisonous atmosphere that are very damaging to a person's health, and even to his mind can be damaging. That in the psychosomatic situations of human being that one has to eliminate in some manner. So look, so here we can. It's easy, I suppose, for most people to take the approach of the Meiri, but certainly many commentators take it differently. The Meiri and the Rambam seem to be on a very similar level. Because the Rambam, even on a Kamiya, and even Ruach Ra, and it's mentioned, for example, in the Mishnah B'Maklik, which they Friday night, it says if you've got to turn off a light because of Ruach Ra on the person. What does it mean, an evil spirit on the person? So Ruach Ra means the person gets a mental attack. That's what the Rambam takes. It's a psychological, people get mental attack. Even the word Ruach Ra is used in the Gemara. B'kafo shed. Is a person chayiv in mitzvahs if a demon was forcing him to lose his mind? Right. So the Rambam describes the demon that forced the person to lose his mind. It's like epilepsy. He loses his mind. When it's epileptic, they have to. So is it put from mitzvahs? Of course, it depends what state. If his state is on the ground, he can't do anything. But if a person's got a mental attack, he's sane, itim chol v'itim shoyta, the Gemara brings this. Person who sometimes is perfectly sane, but he unfortunately gets mental attacks. Maybe only gets it, once a year or something. When he's got a mental attack, is he called sane? Has he got a full mitzvahs? Or do we say, no, it's part of all the mitzvahs? Like it says, chayv shoyta v'kot, it's part of the mitzvahs. So therefore the word mazikin and ruach ra are used for dangerous environmental and sometimes even internal situations that come upon a person. So the Rambam, there's also in the Shur, it speaks of the Kamiya, amulet. If an amulet is successful, then you can use it on Shabbos. If it's not successful, you can't move the accused. So what means successful? Rambam said, okay, people believe it, the amulet will help. that power of belief heals them. It's true, but that's a well-known medical fact today, that people are often healed from illnesses if they're just given
Placebo.
Placebo. What's a placebo? Placebo is not a medicine at all, but it does help people. Many doctors often, frequently when a person has an illness and the doctor can't diagnose, they don't know what it's from. I've got a constant headache, I don't know what it's from. They can't find the cause of it. They try different things. He still gets constant headaches. So if this person says he never takes medicine, then the doctor will say, well, take this pill, and then takes the pill regularly, it helps. They make tests. How does it help? It's really, the placebo is nothing. It's just a bit of powder made into a tablet, into a pill. It's
People pay thousands of dollars for pills.
that's right. That's a big business. A lot of it is fake. Fake. It's all fake. It's all to make people rich. It's a bit of a swindle, but it's not a swindle.
What about people that wear a Star of David? Is that a problem? Like a Star of David?
No,
There's a lot of people that wear that.
Okay. Or as we spoke about before, that if they feel better with the Star of David, so it maybe helps them psychologically. They feel safer with the Star of David.
Tzitzit.
I mean, my father was a Tzadik Berachot. He was in the war, and he carried with him a little Tanakh, and a little Siddur, covered with metal, sorry, with silver, and a bullet shot into that.
Wow.
Before you were born or after?
Before I was born. He was a Prussian officer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Prussian officer, of course, when Hitler came to power, he got an Iron Cross for it as well. He was wounded. Then he was wounded.
Wow.
So the last year of the war had to be in the healing place. But
What's your dad's name?
Also, anyway, of course, when Hitler started, he gave back the Iron Cross, and it back to the authorities.
The tzitzit.
That's a mitzvah.
The tzitzit.
Hmm?
The concept of wearing the tzitzit. To wear the garment to prevent. That's also, you could say.
Yeah, you never know. Look, it helps like a lot. There's in the mind-body relation, human being. Let's say a person takes all the right medicines, but he hasn't got a proper good spirit. Then he gets what it says in Shlomo says, one, Ruach ish yichalkel macharei. If you've got a good positive spirit, you get healthy. Yeah, something without anything. That's a good spirit. So, but if you're depressed, you can't. It's very difficult that your illness, whatever, should be healed. I see this all the time with different people. If you've got a strong spirit, you get over it. So
I guess the
the
question.
spirit of a person depends on all sorts of things. Let's say if he feels I've got the Mogadovit here or reminded of Hashem, it all helps. It helps naturally, and it can help supernaturally as well. Anyway, it says Yalzu Chazitim Amishka Besom. The previous verse, something called the this verse, here just brings Romans Epichronon, Becheret Pipius Beodon. Oh, so how do you know this got anything to do with Kriyat Shema? It just says that these saintly people, they speak about the greatness of Hashem is in their throats. That's saying the Shema. And they have a double sword in their hand. What's the significance of the double sword? To kill the Mazikin. Why does it have to be double?
Both sides.
This way and that way.
It doesn't matter which way you swing, you're going to get them either way, and either on this way or that way.
I saw a very good explanation like this. The Gemara says you shouldn't walk in the middle of the road.
Oh, yeah.
No, it doesn't mean no, it's different. You should always take the middle path. Yeah, always take the middle path, because the power of evil is either too far to the right or too far to the left. So you've got to follow the middle path. So this sword, through saying the Shema, you'll keep to the narrow path.
Whoa.
And not to go to the path of evil. So this life, it says one in Yerushalmi, this life is like a narrow, very narrow path. Yeah. Geshet Samoy. So you've got a very narrow. On one side there's a fiery furnace. On the other side there's an enormous power of ice. It's an ice bath. And if you go more to the right or more to the left, you'll fall into one of these. And that's the power of evil. You've got to be able to walk in the right balance. The Torah gives you the right balance. The right balance means don't go and add to it. Don't go and subtract from it. Because if, let's say, you want to become extremely strong, be careful. You've got to have enough health. Torah says, you've got to look after your body. Don't give up your body. For that leads you in the wrong direction. Don't give up your soul. And all things you try to create the right balance. Azan tell a mitzvot. Ma'azan, you've got to create a balance in your life. And the Satan, the power of evil, pushes you one go the other way. The beautiful explanation of the Chofetz Chaim, when we say in the night, Hashkevena Hashem, what's the Satan? Remove the Satan from in front of us and from behind us. Well, who's the Satan in front? There's power of Satan in front, power of Satan behind. So you used to say the Chofetz Chaim, this yeshiva, he used to go around at 11 or 12 o'clock at night and switch off all the lights. And he wouldn't let the boys learn longer. Why not? He said, you're all going to be able to get up tomorrow and be fresh and have enough sleep. If you don't have enough sleep, then obviously you become ill or subject to colds, you won't be able to get up in the morning. So that's what, in fact, that's why Hashkom Space Amir is Shachs Va'avis. You've got to go to bed early to get up early. So he said that's the power of the Sultan. The Sultan behind us, the one who pushed us to do wrong, wants to put us down to the pit of evil. Who is the Sultan in front of us? One in front of us is a Sultan with a talis over his head, who says to you, go on learning till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. As a result of that, you miss the continuity of learning. That's also Sultan. So that's you can say that's the pshat. That's what one of the Mephoshim said. The state pious beyond. You've got with the sword of Kapolat Ol Malchus Shemayim. You do what Hashem says in all aspects. Keep the right balance. You get rid of the two-sided power of evil. But now where is the Gemara asked? How do you know? By mashma. How do you know it's got anything to do with Kriyat Shema? So how do you know? You carry on, Daniel. How do you know? The Gemara. My mashma. How did this verse imply he's got a double-edged sword? And yeah, but double-edged sword, but with Kriyat Shema Lamita. Oma Mazutra.
Amar Mazutra.
Meitema.
Ravashi Mirisha.
Merisha the Inyana.
The Inyana.
Say what that phrase means, Merisha Inyana. Rashi says, my mashma, Rashi says. What does it mean? So Rashi adds the words, to create Shema. Who knows we're talking about reading the Shema? Just as the saints, they speak about the greatness of Hashem. As a result, they've got the double-edged sword. So how do you know it speaks about reading the Kriyat Shema at night? So he says, go look at the first part of the Pasuk. First part of the subject. You see? Previous verse, the Hasidic people, they rejoice. The kavod really means their soul, their spiritual part. Therefore, yirananu, amishkutam. That's why they sing when they go to bed. They're filled with joy. It said afterwards, it said that power of joy, when they read the Shema, they link up with Hashem. They thank Hashem for all He's done for them all day. That will be the biggest power against all damaging influences at night. Okay, well, so we're up to look at time already.
I met a man once on the train in Tel Aviv who said he used to be a heart surgeon. He used to be and he became religious, he said, because he used to have to do the surgery